should be a couple more speakers joining us, but I could go ahead with announcements. Uh, I'm thinking they'll be here shortly. Maybe one of them was here before. Maybe they're rejoining the space. So I'll just get started with some announcements and just get the space going in general. In general, happy to have everyone here. It's going to be a super exciting one. Really proud of the panel we got together today. Um, so pretty stacked, pretty amazed. Um, So, yeah, first off, I just want to invite everyone to post their questions if they have any. Uh, Obviously, it's a panel. We source a lot of questions, but we also take some questions from the crowd today. So, if you got questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll get to them on the end as well. Um, Maybe you don't have a specific question. In that case, it'd be cool if you just let us know what brought you here, what's your motivation, what are you excited about, what are you hoping to learn today. um, and yeah, just for us to give a general direction to the space, that would be really helpful. um, so yeah, a bit about the format today. I'll be doing some short announcements. After that, I'll give it over to Marina, who will be moderating the panel with our guests. And then we'll also take some questions from the chat. So, without further I'll get to the announcements first. So yeah, if you're here today, you're probably interested in Twitter Spaces. We are going to do more of these probably every week, but this week we're even doing two of them. So on Wednesday we're doing another one. I'm really excited for this one as well. I'll be hosting some great speakers on the future of work. So that means like the decentralization of work, DAOs, basically a lot of things that bring us to this space. I'll be interviewing some white paper writers upon which the Metrics app is based on their thinkings. So I'm really interested to dig into deep. Also have some builders, so that means a developer who's building our app, and some power users who are heavily using our app. So really interested in that. I'm gonna drop the link in the comments in a bit. What else? Okay, so let's move on to today. The reason we do this panel, this career panel, is because we have a live course on Web3 analytics. A lot of people take it, and at the end of 6 weeks, you got some people who graduate. That's great stuff. And we want to celebrate that. So, um, this cohort got 15 graduates. I'm gonna name them off. It won't be their Twitter handles, unfortunately, so we're not sure if we can see you in the crowd, in the audience. But we hope you're listening. Just want to give you a cool shout out. Here we go. Uh, First graduate is Ayo the Great. Then Lightman, Glorious Leader, Laja, Paul is striving. ETH, Tilogy, Thomas Harris, Mason R, the Chrisen, hard sometimes these names, Nathan Clive, Ludovico PHA. Yeah, proof of humanity. I see you in the crowd, Ludovic. Awesome to have you here, man. Congratulations. Sylvia Orlando, 107 Taoist, another familiar face. I think I see you in the crowd. No, that's too bad. Well, congrats to him. Sovereign Alchemist as well. And then finally, Tentacles 2020. So yeah, really happy for these guys. Give it up. Show some applause emojis. Um, and yeah, congrats. And let's move on to the next step in your Web3 data career, let's say. Um, we also are running a Joke DAO contest, so we can decide who made the best dashboards. from our student participants. So get your votes in at the Joke Tower contest. I'll share the link for that in the comments as well. Yes. Okay, talking about moving on in your Web3 data career, we also got a product session on Sentio, which is a data provider, on Wednesday. So that's a nice webinar, under 60 minutes, short, quick, and easy, just to elevate your game a little bit. So I'll be sharing that shortly. If you think this is cool, you want to learn more, we're going to do more of these live course cohorts. So just jump in our Discord, get involved, and you'll be the first to know when our next live course cohort registration opens up. So with all that out of the way, people, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening in. I'm gonna give it off to Marina, our lovely lead community. I gotta say, she really forged our Discord into the lively community that it is today. And she's also a course instructor of the course I just talked about. She did multiple sessions this and last cohort, and I believe even the one before that. So she's becoming a bit of a veteran. So without without all that, yeah, Marina, the floor is yours.
Hello, hello. Hey everyone, super excited to be with all of you here today in this awesome company. Big congrats to our graduates who Helix just shouted out. I'm so proud of you all for sticking through the course, for becoming brand new Web3 data analysts as of today. This is so exciting. Give some claps, give some applause to our awesome grads. And we also really appreciate our awesome speakers who are here today on the panel. I think we're trying to get one or two more people up, but all of you really appreciate having here today to share your wisdom about the next steps in every new analyst's Web3 data career. So stoked to get this started. So, to kick this off, let's go in with a round of introductions. I'm going to give the mic to each one of you here on the panel today. Anything you'd like to let the crowd know about who you are, what you do, where you can be found in this Web3 universe, and also what are your touch points with blockchain data? Since this is kind of the focus of our panel today, how do you interact with data and data people, and anything else you'd like to share? I'm gonna throw it first. Let's see. Let's throw it first to Jones, on-chain data nerd. Floor is yours.
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. Okay, so my name is Jones. I am the head of the data nerd. So we specialize in on-chain data, but specifically for wallet tracking. So we would like to provide like movement for on-chain movement between wallet. For example, VC, smart money, that kind of stuff. So that the investor and traders can get a clearer insight into the token and what they're getting into. Yeah. So that's my job at the net.
Awesome. So great to have you here. I'm gonna go in the
Thanks.
order that I see all folks. Give it to Alex.
Hey guys, yeah, just some background about me. I used to work as a quant trader at a high frequency trading firm. I left last year to do a DeFi project where I worked on research and like I guess quant research at this DeFi protocol. Um, Unfortunately, the protocol closed down this year, so right now I'm uh, building my own sort of research consultancy slash trading firm, and I'm mainly doing like on chain and also like yeah, just trading stuff for that.
So cool. Thanks for the intro. And let's go to Tomas. So Spoke, who is here with us on stage as well. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Thomas. So my background is I did a PhD in computational neuroscience, so nothing to do with blockchain at first. But then I like moved on, and I used to work as a data scientist for Dune Analytics. And then I recently, like a few months ago, joined the Robust Incentives Group at the Ethereum Foundation as a researcher. And our research is focusing on like game theoretical mechanism designs on Ethereum. So that includes MEV, proposer builder separations, roll-up economics, gas fees, and but all of that from like a kind of mathematical economic perspective. And yeah, I use on-chain data a ton, mostly associated with off-chain data as well now, but yeah, I use it every day.
So cool. Such a diverse panel of speakers here today. Again, appreciate you all being here. We'll see if more of our speakers are able to join throughout, but it's really awesome to have all of these different views and angles on-chain data, Web3 data here today. So with that, let's jump into some questions. We asked our graduating cohort, first of all, if they had any questions for you all as they are starting their new career path and in this new to them field. And we also have questions coming in still, I believe. So I'll pose some of those at you and touch on some of the themes for you all to tackle. And for everyone listening, you're also welcome to drop your questions in this thread's comments, and we'll be monitoring them, Helix and I, and we'll try to pose them to our panel too. And finally, towards the end, I hope we have time to open it up to the floor and some audience questions too. So without further ado, let's go in with talking about kind of blockchain data, big view, bird's eye view. Something that's really tempting, right? As one is starting in this new niche to them, as an analyst, is to sort of just see that part of the ecosystem that you're looking at. You know, you are the analyst, you're analyzing a topic, you have a SQL query in front of you that's running, or maybe it's throwing an error, but it's really, really valuable to kind of step back and kind of get a, have an understanding and have a bird's eye view of the field as a whole. So to each one of you, the question, can you talk about kind of your role and niche and experience with data with a view on this broader blockchain data ecosystem? You know, some of you are kind of more on the analyst side, some of you are more on the research side and the foundation. So how does that all plug into the big picture of on-chain data? I'm going to throw it to Thomas first.
Yeah, so, well, I do think it's easier to be good at something in a niche. My niche, I guess, is evolved over time, but at Dune, I used to be quite about on-chain data in general and just making it like open source and having people contribute and everything. Right now, it's definitely more Ethereum, obviously. I think it's also different in like the kind of work I do right now. It's more like at the intersection of academia and data science, I guess. We do most of the things we do is writing scientific papers, and most of our time is dedicated to research. But there is a more applied side of things and data side of things, because when we kind of try to design mechanisms around Ethereum, we go back and look at the on-chain data and kind of come up with new hypotheses and new ways of kind of researching things. But yeah, I guess my niche now is pretty obvious. It's Ethereum for sure.
That's so cool. Either Jones or Alex, do either of you want to jump in next? Up to you.
Yeah, I can take it. I might have forgotten the question. The question is like, I guess, how to use on-chain data.
Yep, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah. I'd say like the way I've used it has evolved a lot in my time here. But like right now, uh, it's very useful for generating like actionable trading decisions. Um, a lot of times, like token prices are very driven by flows, especially like flows of big token holders like VCs or like the foundations or investors. And yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, actionable decisions you can make by analyzing the flows to exchange, like the flows between wallets. And every chain, every project, has its own different set of wallets that you need to track, different schemas. It's not always like nicely formatted on Dune, so sometimes you have to like go to like some random explorer and then like ping their API over and over again just to like index things. So it gets kind of messy, but like the messier it is, like the more alpha it generates because like less people are looking at it. And yeah, I think it's like not many people are looking at it, so it's very I think profitable / like fruitful endeavor to do. But yeah.
So cool to hear about your in-depth experience with data and kind of really digging in and diving in. Jones, do you have anything to add as well?
Yes. So actually, my answer is quite similar to him. So I am also a trader. So I use on-chain analysis to track wallet to like, and then to make investment decisions. So I also track VC wallet, token whales, smart money, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So my experience is quite similar to Alex. Yeah. In a sense. Besides that, I also use Dune and transpose to do like more fundamental analysis. So for example, I would like to know more about the revenue of a protocol or the number of users. But all in all, I use on-chain data more toward investing than researching. Yeah.
Right, awesome. So it's interesting to hear that some of your roles are kind of more focused and others are, you're exploring kind of different protocols and different kind of really varied, breadth of data. With that, a question on specialists versus generalists comes to mind. This has come up for our students as well. What's your take? So in on-chain data, do you see more specialists versus generalists? Do you recommend being one versus the other? If you kind of see the path for, to becoming a specialist, kind of would you recommend somebody really new to the field takes it? Your take. Would anyone like to jump in first?
I'll throw my 2 cents on there. I think it's necessary to like be a generalist up to a certain point. Like you just have to be proficient with SQL and hopefully like maybe like Python and just like interacting with APIs and stuff like that. But I think like with the routes you can take, if you want to be like a researcher for a specific protocol or a specific chain, like it is very helpful to like learn the specifics of the blockchain and like how like their data is structured so that like you can do some pretty advanced querying and analytics on like that specific like projects on a specific chain or like that project itself. An example for myself would be back when I used to work on a DeFi protocol in Solana. The account structure would be like much different than like what you'd see on Ethereum. And like Dune wasn't the best indexer to use. So like learning Solana specific things and like generating things like, oh, like I want to generate like the P&L of this portfolio, or I want to generate like user actions, and then like yeah, just like specific stuff, like more nuanced questions. I think get helped by specializing in a specific chain.
Awesome. Would you be able to talk a bit more for our newer analysts how to kind of how you recommend, getting in specializing and kind of maybe resources or maybe, any approaches that you would maybe recommend to yourself if you're just doing it all over again now?
To be honest, I think like specializing can get kind of hard unless you like are working closely with someone who has expertise in a specific chain. Um, like a lot of the Solana specific stuff, like I had no idea how they worked unless I like was able to talk to like my coworker who was like a Solana blockchain dev. Um, so I guess like finding a developer in that specific expertise that can sort of guide you in deciphering the data would be really helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, so networking with developers who are creating or outputting that data and creating the events and everything for it, and have a firsthand understanding and the role to play and how it comes together. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
With that, Thomas, I wanted to ask your take since you are pretty specialized, if I may say so myself, with Ethereum data and kind of Ethereum topics. Do you your take on chatting with developers, data and developer connections, and any specialization, and kind of diving more into smart contracts maybe as well?
Yeah. So I think I agree with Alex, and you kind of have to start being a generalist, and then kind of work on, like, if you don't have them already, you work on like your basic, I don't know, kind of basic coding skills and writing skills maybe. And then for me, it was a bit more about like what drove me and like the people I met and what I was interested in that made me focus more on like Ethereum and the kind of game theory, MEV side of things. But yeah, ultimately, I do think it's very helpful to just jump on projects, um, do them, like participate any way you can, and then sometimes you're gonna jump on project that won't like be very interesting to you, or maybe you won't feel that comfortable, and other times you actually meet very cool people and do some nice things, and then I do think there is a lot of value in also staying a generalist. I think it's also very worth it to have like people that can just talk about a lot of, like, yeah, talk a lot about a lot of different things, and write it in a concise way, so that people can understand it, and we don't all have to just like dive super deep into one chain or one protocol. So it just kind of depends.
That's so important. There's really room for both. That's really cool to hear. Jones, do you care to weigh in on this question as well? Specialists or generalists, and how to?
Yeah. So actually, I'm more advocate for specialists. In like I feel that when the market is more mature, you need to be more like a specialist to make a name for yourself. And moreover, I think that data analyzing is just the first step, and the user, the audience, they would focus more on the insight, getting it from the analyzing the data itself. Yeah, so I think that have being more specialized can help you get more experience and easier to provide insight. Yeah. For example, if you are more let's say, so for me, I'm a trader, so I understand the viewpoint of traders. So what they are thinking, what they are wanting to I, I wait. Yeah, so I understand the perspective of traders and what they are needing right now, and I analyzing the data and I provide in the simplest manner for them. So you are aware that traders, they do not use on-chain data pretty much. They use like technical analysis and chart. So so that's why my account is growing so fast right now, because I can provide them what they need in a simple manner. That's one way to put it. So yeah, being a specialist can give you more advantage over other people. That that's my take on it.
Thanks. A cool insight in there
Yeah,
about what to do to be growing and to be growing your audience. So to
yeah.
to riff on that a little bit more, what would you recommend new and beginning Web3 data folks and analysts to be building, creating, maybe kind of exploring any specific topics, any specific niches, any kind of anything you recommend that someone who's starting today will be focusing on to kind of expand their reach and to maybe find what they're interested in? Anyone? I'm not gonna throw it to anybody in particular.
Yeah,
All right, awesome. Jones.
maybe I can answer that question. Okay, so this can be a bit weird, but for new beginners, I actually would suggest you explore different types to explore as much as possible. Crypto is pretty new, and so if you are beginning, you can be quite overwhelming with the info. So, for example, we have DEX, we have lending protocols, we have different change, that kind of stuff. So, my take is that you should go out and explore and find something that fit that clicks. So, for example, if you're new, you maybe like more familiar with Ethereum, but then I would suggest branching out to layer 2 and also Solana or Near protocol, and see that if the ecosystem or the community that suit you, and then you would decide to specialize on it, and then develop your skill from there. Yeah, that's my advice.
Awesome. Alex or Thomas, would either of you like to weigh in as well?
Sure. Yeah, I think my advice is a bit different, but it's complementary and it's very personal. But I think what helped me a lot in the beginning was just to also bring some kind of expertise in like a previous domain. So I think it can be anything, but for me it was I was analyzing like brain networks, so I kind of applied the same techniques I used to apply to the brain to blockchain networks, and that's kind of how I started. But I know like people that were lawyers and just like got interested in the blockchain space and now working there too. So like I think it can be anything really, but I think it's helpful to bring in something from past experiences, so that makes you kind of unique, and you can bring it to the space you are interested in.
That's great advice and appreciate your personal touch as well. It's cool to learn from what you went through and your experience. Alex, so what about you? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I'd say my advice is pretty similar to Tomas's. I think having your natural curiosity drive you is definitely the recipe for success. And yeah, I think like having a yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. All solid advice. Everyone agrees. Love to hear that. Um, all right, so let's say our beginner analysts, they've now got their tools and now let's say got their SQL and their domain expertise from kind of what they were interested in before. Maybe they're exploring a little bit. They might be starting to learn smart contracts. Any other go-to tools that you use or recommend, or how would you go about someone expanding their Web3 data toolbox, and where would you look today? And this is to anyone who wants to jump in.
Okay, I can go. Um, I I think it's very case specific, but there is a surprising amount of APIs and data sets you can query from. Um, so yeah, I used to be mostly on Dune, honestly. Also, I worked there, and I thought I still think it's great. But now that I have to focus on like different topics and maybe like sometimes data that's off chain, you have, for example, I focus a lot on MEV now. So you have Flashbots relay data that's available. You have EigenPhi that's providing MEV transactions. You have Rated that's like looking at validators data and builders data. You have like people just like building free tools like MEV Boost Peaks. You have like a ton of actual options that are like very specialized in and just like very good at what they do. So for me right now, it's also about like bringing these data sets together and kind of getting insights from that.
Awesome. Alex and Jones, would you like to chime in with anything too?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think like beyond like the stack everyone knows about, especially for getting off-chain data or maybe data from like a place that doesn't have like a nice API for you to query, you have to kind of scrape it yourself. So I think like being comfortable with like a proxy provider and like rotating through proxies to scrape your data without getting rate limited or blocked, I think has been really useful. Yeah, make sure you do it ethically. Yeah, that's my advice.
That last part. Love it. Love it all. Jones, what about you?
Yeah, so I would recommend like trying out tools that would complement the existing one. So for example, like I do most of my data analysis on Dune and Transpose, but their labeling, the wallet labeling, and yeah, is not quite sufficient for me. So yeah, I also use Nonsense as well, and also like do my own wallet labeling on Etherscan. So yeah, I would suggest that as well.
That's great. That's awesome. All right. Um, so there's a lot more questions our analysts and brand new and future analysts have. I'm going to jump in with some practical ones. And of course, everyone wants to know what the space is going to look like and, what the job market's like and how to look for some. So any takes on, where do you see the space emerging, maybe the next 6 months to a year, or maybe even shorter? We know how fast time moves in Web3, and kind of any practical, career advice, career building advice, and maybe first job searching advice for brand new analysts. And this is for anyone who wants to jump in as well. That's a big question. you know. Anyone? Any takers?
Yeah, I can try.
Thanks.
So I think, well, on my perspective, a lot of projects are actually coming up now, and I'm just gonna speak about the Ethereum side of things because it's the one I know more. But for now, there's definitely like a kind of enthusiasm and a lot of innovations around layer two, whether that's like optimistic rollups or ZK rollups. There are like a lot of projects being built around that. So I actually around the MEV space also it's pretty crazy. You have like a lot of initiatives, still company get like kind of projects keep being created and being funded and kind of is exploding in the amount of innovations and complexity they are going to bring to the space. So I'm not really seeing any kind of slowdown in that aspect. I still think people are very motivated to innovate and to bring like new things. And then as a career advice to start, I mean, yeah, I think like jumping in with like new projects that are cool and being created is actually like um a good opportunity because it's just like they are like getting traction and like working on like the cutting edge technology that's happening. So joining them is probably kind of interesting. And I as a very selfish take, I do think we need some more research and data science around like on layer twos so we can all work together and collaborate.
Awesome. That's again a personal take, which really appreciate. And yeah, that's great tips. Let's see, Alex, do you want to jump in, or maybe Jones? Alex, you got it.
Yeah, cool. My take's a little bit more cynical, I guess. It is kind of shaped by personal experience, but I guess my advice would be like if you're going to join in as a data scientist to like a DeFi protocol or a foundation, I'd say like make sure you're very hyper aware of like their funding situation and the also health of the chain. Like the higher up the frontier you go up in both like the protocol and like the chain, like the more chances you are to not have a job in a year if something turns bad. Um, so like obviously like Ethereum and like protocols on Ethereum are not only like funding rich, but also like they're probably going to last for a while compared to, let's say, like a random alt L1 or something. Yeah, so I would just be like cognizant of that and like make sure like if I specialize in like a niche area that like it's not going to be wasted on anything. And it's probably the reason why like right now I'm mainly using it for trading is to like extract as much now as opposed to like uh, later. But yeah, that's just my take.
So important doing your research, doing your own research and due diligence. I mean, that can't be overstated. That's really, really important. Jones, what about you? What advice do you have to impart?
Yes. So my advice is to be creative, and I cannot emphasize enough the importance of when you're starting out. You should like create your own Twitter account and start creating your dashboard and other kind of stuff to get tractions. Because as I said, the job of the data analyst is to provide insight to the audience, to the people, and not just to analyzing data and leave the insight to the reader. Yeah. So by creating a Twitter account, you can also like hone your writing skills. And for the first part, I said you should be more creative. Like for example, you can come to a DAO and then create a proposal to create a new dashboard for them, and then to maintain them. That's one idea when I start up. Yeah, and also just do it. Yeah. Yeah. When you're starting out, there's nothing important like just do it and then get feedback and then improve on your skills. Yeah, and then the jobs will come, of course. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you for that advice. Oh, I think it said in the space setting, just a quick moment that everyone is now muted. Is that cool? Do we want that? Is that for speakers? Okay. Everyone is now unmuted. With that intermission, let's jump in into maybe the hottest question of battle today. I mean, we already got a lot of great advice from you all. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom. Any really, really kind of slept on advice or a hot take about what to do and what maybe not to do for someone breaking into on-chain data right now? And this too is for anyone who cares to jump in or maybe elaborate on prior advice you were giving as well.
I guess my take would be like for contractors or for like grant proposals. I do think like they're generally underpaid for how many hours you have to do, and I think it's a great way to like get your name out and like establish sort of like a proof of work and like use it as like a launch pad into finding like a job. Um, but like, yeah, I think it's typically not worth just being like doing that like forever. It's like my hot take, I guess.
Yep, appreciate that. What about Thomas? Do you have any hot takes or any really slept on advice to break into data today?
No. The only thing I'm thinking about is I do agree. I didn't want to sound too optimistic, and I really do agree with Alex. And you should like do a lot of research before you want to join in on anything, including protocols. It's like, yeah, that was implied, but maybe not very clear in my explanation. And yeah, for again, from like a personal standpoint, I spend a lot of time talking and researching any kind of either protocol or project or company I want to join. And you can just like, yeah, spend months discussing with people, kind of seeing if it's a good fit. And yeah, so I think Alex's take was quite important to remember. And yeah.
Yep, super important. And Jones, what about you?
Yeah. So maybe my final smile is to quickly find your own group. So like a group of data analysts, like for example newbie, to study with each other. So it can help you to motivate and learn faster. I remember that when I started out, uh, I encountered many problems that may seem that looking back is very easy to fix. But yeah, having a group or like a mentors can help you like um, dis- um discover the problem much faster than if you are working on your own. Yeah, but that from my experience.
Great advice. Thanks. Thanks for your advice, Jones. Thanks for all your advice. That's about it for the questions that our analysts have asked. And we do have a bit of time, so I do want to invite everyone here to jump right on in. If you have any questions for our panel today about breaking into and accelerating your career and Web3 data, please raise your hand. We'll put you on stage if you'd like to ask a question. And I'm going to take a look also if there are any questions in the chat, although I think not yet.
Yeah, we have two questions in the comments.
Awesome.
One from Ludovico and one from Liam.
Awesome. I might be looking in not the right place. Would you mind reading them out, Helix? Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so from Ludovico.POH, proof of humanity. A question for So I Spoke, that's Tomas. Any advice for someone that is thinking of transitioning from academia into Web3 metrics?
Yeah, that's a good question. So well, I guess one of the things is it depends what research you were doing. For sure, if you are like a computer scientist or like a, you know, a cryptographer, it's quite easy these days to actually find jobs. For me, it was not exactly the same. I did have like some computer science background, but like um, I mean, I think it really depends where you want to go. If you want to keep doing research, then I actually look into like a lot of yeah, new solutions or even layer twos or whatever. And they often have like a small research team, so that might be an avenue. And if you actually want to transition towards more like data science, well, then having a background at least in some like doing some codes or just like basic math and stats is usually useful. And then the last thing I would say is it did take some getting used to. Like it was super interesting. I actually loved it, but transitioning from academia and the whole world of academia, which is quite remote and separate from I don't know, private companies or startups. Yeah, you like the transition. You kind of have to learn how it works, kind of the roles of everyone and how to interact with everyone. But other than that, it was actually a very smooth and cool experience on my end. So I definitely think it's very possible.
All right, thank you for the insight. I do think that's very helpful for someone like Ludovico or anyone else in academia. Yeah, some specific advice on that specific situation. Thank you, Tomas. Marina, the other question we got, um, it's not entirely clear to me, but maybe you can decipher it. From Liam, I am on PC and can't talk. My mic is a problem, so that explanation. But the question is, can we use on-chain data analytics for this topic? I guess, yeah, they asked this at a specific time, which was 29 minutes ago. So it's hard to know what we're talking about at the moment. I already asked if they could clarify, and maybe they will. But in the meantime, I guess we could move on to live questions.
Yeah, thanks, Felix, for spotlighting those two questions. And let's see if the person who asked might want to clarify and jump in. Otherwise, would anyone else like to raise their hand and pose the question directly to our panel about breaking into Web3 data? All right, it looks like we're winding down. There are no more questions.
If no one has any questions, I might actually have a question. Um, for Alex. And maybe you don't want to get into this because maybe it's quite controversial, or not. I don't know what your take on this is. The moment I discovered you was actually from the one thread on Uniswap back in November. Um, I thought that was so gutsy. Um, I'm not even sure what my question is, but I'm just like curious about that whole situation and how it went down and how you even like worked up like the nerve to do that, I guess. I thought that was very brave.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think back then, like I had maybe like 500 followers on Twitter. I was writing like a report on like the state of DeFi for like our protocol. So I was just going over like uncollateralized lending, dexes, what's the other one? Staking and derivatives. And I was just like talking about capital efficiency and all of them. And we're gonna like release like a quarterly report. That was like the original plan. So I built like a Dune dashboard for each of them. And like one of the highlights was like the efficiency of price discovery on dexes, like how efficient of a price discovery mechanism it is. Um, and I sent it to a friend who is building like a dex, and he wrote like a thread saying that like Uniswap is bad for retail traders because of how inefficient it is, and like I guess the world needs to know. Uniswap like replied saying like, yeah, the query is wrong, the dashboard is wrong, like everything's just wrong about this. And I guess that's when I felt the need to like defend my query because it definitely wasn't wrong. Um, so yeah, I wrote a thread and it blew up and like it caused some drama, but I think it was good for the space to like sort of see, I guess, the price efficiency mechanism like measured in like a novel sort of way. And yeah, that's the story behind it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was quite crazy, and to me, it was like heartening to see the community really get behind you. And obviously, you blew up after that. Um, I get, yeah, that was crazy. I think I just wanted to like appreciate, I'm sorry, express my appreciation for that. That was awesome, man.
Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. It means a lot.
So cool. It's a super cool example to me of, being an analyst for on-chain data and really kind of going in and finding for yourself and making the case that you have to make with the data that's not, gated, that's available, and just kind of putting your methodology out there and having a conversation about it or defending it or whatever it may be. I think that's a really cool kind of empowering moment of on-chain data analytics for me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that's so cool. That's when this stuff really comes to life, when you're like starting to research stuff that actually matters to people and that makes a difference in the space and that has an impact on how people go about things or how they view certain reports or metrics or whatever it may be. but you're having an actual impact on people and on the space, and that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful way of phrasing it. I think like picture tells like 1,000 words, but like a dashboard can tell a whole story. And because of how the public forum of Twitter is like able to amplify just like a single person, like it's cool to see it. Like I think it reached like millions of people that are talking about it just from like a single tweet, and like it kind of changed like the whole public discourse around the situation. And yeah, looking back at it, I don't think I realized it at the time, but looking back at it, I think uh, the power that you're able to wield just as one person, with like data analytics and like building visualizations is quite beautiful.
Very decentralized. Gotta love that. We have a couple of questions that are coming in, or a couple of requests to speak and ask a question coming in from our audience. So I'm going to give the mic to Sorab if you'd like to ask
Yeah.
yours.
Hi. First, thanks to Matrix DAO for organizing this. And I have question to each one of you. And the question is for someone who are pretty proficient in, let's say, SQL, and have done data analysis for some time in Web2 world, and have, I would say, beginner level or moderate understanding of blockchain data. How would you suggest I should tackle next couple of months in terms of what project I should think of on my own, or what area I should focus on that would give me best return in terms of impact, or like ecosystem would really like it when I build that. Is my question clear, or is it a little bit more broad? I'm not sure. Hello?
Yeah, I can try to
Yeah.
answer. It's a tough question because it's very I guess dependent on what you like. But yeah, I'd say if you basically want to work in the blockchain space, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, well, like one very important step is to actually do your research and kind of try to find the projects you are most inspired by, and then once you like found a couple of projects you really like, and you find their mission, or like their ideas, or their goals like fascinating, then just like reach out, because you already kind of have the skills that are needed to be either like data analyst, scientist, or anything.
Yeah.
So if you really want to do that, and then if you see a project that really you like a lot, but like you don't have the skills yet to maybe apply and like be proficient, then like work on these skills, and along the way like kind of publicly post everything you do, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
I think if my take, if you're trying to maximize like impact, is to like be very aware of the narrative, the current narrative. Like, granted that like assuming you're like decently well versed in like domain knowledge and like how like blockchain, like a DeFi protocol, like all the different types of DeFi protocols, and like what's important for like a blockchain, like metrics around those. Assuming you're up to date on that, then like tracking what like the public eye is focused on right now. So like right now, like in the past week or two, it was really focused on L2s, like with the Arbitrum launch. So like building a dashboard to track some relevant metrics and the users and stuff like that would have, I think, would have gotten a lot of attention. I think in the upcoming couple weeks, like it'll be the merge. So if you're able to like get a dashboard up to like track, or not, sorry, not the merge, Shanghai. If you're able to track like withdrawals, I think a lot of people will be intensely watching like how many people are withdrawing and potentially selling their ETH. And yeah, just like I guess just like figuring out like what's in the meta, and like tracking that, I think is my advice.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so my advice is quite similar to Alex. If you want to like make the most impact in terms of growing your account or growing your presence on social media, it's definitely best that you follow the narrative or the trend. So for example, like in the past weeks, I have created a dashboard on ARB tokens. So like for foreign wallet and that kind of stuff, and I also do a dashboard on ZK and Stocknet Bridge trend. Yeah, so it's growing quite fast, and I gain a lot of star on Dune. So that's one way to do it. On the other hand, if you want to focus more on like growing your skills, so I know that you're already a data analyst in Web2, but I actually tutor many people like you. So they are very proficient in Web2 already, but they want to make a move to Web3, and they still have a lot to learn. Yeah, yeah. So maybe try to figure out what you want best, and then make a plan for it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think it makes sense. I would work on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome questions, sir. And thank you everyone for all of your advice. I think we had a couple of folks who also had raised their hand and they're on stage, but unfortunately, I see them dropped. So if they come back in the next little while, I would love to have them back on stage. Otherwise, would anyone else like to jump on and ask a question before we start to wrap? All right, it sounds like there are no more questions today. So we really, really appreciate all of your advice and your time and your personal stories and your well well deserved warnings and important warnings to do your own research and stay vigilant. I appreciate all of you today on stage and our awesome speakers. And I'm gonna turn over back to Helix. It's been a pleasure. Thanks all.
Yeah, I forgot
Yes.
to mention something. Can I?
Thomas, please go ahead.
Yeah, so talking about like some kind of things you can join and groups you can, if you're interested, join. Yeah, we are launching like a what we call Rig Open Problems, and it's an initiative around MEV data. So basically, we are trying to bring people from the MEV space at different parts of the stack into getting together and evaluating kind of the network health from an MEV perspective. And we are looking for anyone that's motivated or like that really wants to dig in MEV data. And so that goes to researcher but like analysts, data scientists, traders also. So if anyone is actually interested in joining, we also have like a small grants that we give out for projects that actually go a bit deeper and for people that really want to work on this. So yeah, I forgot to mention it and I wanted to.
Love
Thank you
it.
for shouting this out. Go, Helix. Just want to
Yeah.
say thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, that's amazing. Please do share this type of stuff. Uh, yeah, I remember we tweeted this out as well because this is it's just really cool. And like it's stuff our audience loves, you know. So of course, we want you to share this, and we'll be happy to cross promote or help amplify. Um, yeah, for sure. Same goes for Jones and Alex, by the way. If you have any initiatives or anything that you want to share before we leave, please take this opportunity right now before we close it out. Um, if not, of course, that's also cool. Um, yeah, I want to thank everyone. Marina, thank you for being our lovely moderator and for your great questions. Um, Alex, Jones, and Tomas, thank you for being here and for sharing your insights, your experiences, your experiences. You've been around here for a while. Love your insights. People can definitely take a thing or two from your story. So thank you for that. Everyone in the audience, please go ahead and give these guys a follow. They're sharing tons of great stuff on the regular. So be sure to drop them a follow. Yeah, before we close out, just want to make sure and repeat that we got another Twitter space going on. It's Wednesday, so 2 days from now, on the future of work, so DAOs, decentralization, and our metrics app. It'll be very interesting. I'll be interviewing some very interesting guests and getting their thoughts and philosophy on yeah, the future of work and decentralization. Wednesday, we're also doing a product session on Sentio. So if you want to up and elevate your analyst game, you can take that webinar. Um, that'd be great. If you want to join our next cohort and learn Web3 analytics, that's also possible. Best thing to do right now is jump in our Discord, get involved, and you'll be notified when the next registration opens up. And we want to remind everyone to vote on the student dashboards on JokeDAO. You can find them all in the highlights at the top of this Twitter space or in the comments. You'll find it on our profile page, the Metrics DAO profile page. So yeah, once again, thanks everyone. Thanks to Marina, thanks Tomas, thanks Jones, thanks Alex, and definitely thank you to all of you in the audience for being here and being part of this amazing experience. Thanks everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.
Thanks, guys.